Call this meeting to order. Will everyone please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Marie.
Here.
Jacob Flutie,
Here.
Councilman Jerry Flutie is absent, and Mayor Davis.
Here. Are there any additions to the agenda? Anybody can see? Seeing none. I have a motion to approve the agenda as read.
Make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approval of the past minutes. Any questions on the last two meetings minutes? Do I have approval of last two meetings minutes, the one for May 16th and one for May 26th?
I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Okay. Approval of bills, deposits, and financial statements. Deposits in the amount of $177,886.48. Accounts payable in the amount of $38,452.76. Payroll in the amount of $34,151.77, and transmittals in the excuse me, in the neighborhood of $10,255.67. Do I have a motion to approve the financial statement and pay the bills?
Make motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Correspondence. Marie?
Correspondence, Transwest is hosting a groundbreaking event. Here. The event will be at Overland Trail Ranch. And it'll be followed by a reception in Lawrence at the depot on June 20th. And the mayors of Carbon County are invited to attend, or a representative of your town. If you would like to go, you should RSVP to Jared Sopet.
Any questions? We're all welcome to go. All right, is that all the correspondence?
Yes, that is all.
Okay, moving on to items from the public. And it looks like we have Mr. Haverly here with the Saratoga Aquatic Center. Or potential, or whatever we want to call it.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for having me, councilors. I appreciate your time today. The real reason I'm here is simply to provide this council with a history of the project and sort of just a status update on where we're at. Because I'm certain you're getting a lot of questions about it, being elected officials in the community. People expect you to know things whether you or not. So in the fall of 2021, we initially sort of hatched this plan. We raised like $35,000 from the community to retain an architectural firm and a recreational facilities consultant to prepare a preliminary design and an operations and maintenance pro forma budget and plan for how much would it cost to run this. We undertook a community online survey, which was published in the newspaper, flyers sent home to the schools, and collected a pretty big response to that survey. We used those responses. The architectural firm that we retained is called BCBO out of Salt Lake City, Utah. They specialize in recreation centers. That's one of their specialties. And they've been responsible for several in Wyoming, including Pinedale, Casper, Gillette, and a handful of others. They took the feedback from the community, what people wanted, what they didn't want, and used that to drive the design. With the instructions we gave them to please do this as efficiently as possible, get us the most bang for our buck. We want something modest that is actually conceivable for us to maybe build. They did that, and then they came back with estimates on two options. I don't know if you've seen them. If not, I'll get the plans. These, documents have been publicly available for a very long time. But I can get them to the clerk and ask her to distribute them to you so you have them in your inbox. But there's two designs. One is approximately $12.5 million estimated construction cost, and it has a single body of water. So for those of you that have been to the Laramie pool, it's sort of like their indoor pool where you have a zero entry, which is like for little toddlers to walk in without a drop off, and then a play area sort of thing. And then there's like 3 lanes, but it's a single body of water, right? No separate lane pool. The second option would have 2 bodies of water. So we'd have the leisure recreation pool and then a separate lane pool that would be of a big enough size for Saratoga to host swim meets. Both designs also have 2 fitness studios, a cardio sort of area, and locker rooms and a party room for hosting birthday parties and that sort of thing. That's the basic concept. The second option is like $15.9 million estimated construction costs. So 12.5 for option A, 15.9 for option A plus. I'm not sure why we couldn't come up with names, but that's what we got. So that's where we're at. I have been, then the recreational facility consultants came back with operational cost estimates, which are extremely high. It's like something on the order of $800,000 a year to run option A plus and 550, something like this. I don't have the exact numbers, but I'll make sure you guys have that. And then there's revenue considered. And so we're looking to come up with something on the order of $400,000 to $600,000 a year net to operate these things. My intention is to ask the town of Saratoga and encampment and school district and possibly the school rec board and anyone else that might have a vested interest in this project to support the project through annual contributions toward its operation. We're not to that point yet. The concept is we already have formed a new nonprofit. It's called Good Pines Valley Recreation. And that entity would own and operate the facility. And the concept would be that entity would then enter into service agreements with those public entities I just mentioned in exchange for providing services. And the ask is going to be, if we ever get to this point, unless anyone else has a better idea, which if you do, please share it. But the ask is going to be to have the town of Saratoga hold up its recreation department, and this nonprofit would take over as a recreation department valley-wide, providing services, organizing basketball, managing the existing gyms, preparing for the pool, everything. So the ask would be you take your recreation budget and just commit it to the project, and we get encampment to kick in some, school board kicks in some, and so on. That's the concept. Whether that's realistic or not, I'm not sure. But we're not ready to have that conversation yet because I don't have all the money raised to build it. So the proposed site, you may or may not know, is the chunk of ground between the public library and the Saratoga Middle High School. We feel that was part of our survey. We asked people where to put it. That sort of got the plurality of responses, was people wanted it near the schools. That particular location is owned by the town. We approached the last council about a 50 or 100-year lease. I can't remember. I think it was 50 was renewed for another 50. They felt that they were on their way out and that they would defer to you all and make that decision as to whether you wanted to enter into that lease or not. So that's kind of the gist of it. So far right now, our fundraising efforts, we have a single donor willing to cover a third of the cost. Another thing that I neglected to mention is alongside our capital fundraising campaign, we will also be raising an endowment, which would fill the gap on operations and maintenance. So my target is to raise $20 million. It's awfully optimistic. I appreciate that. But you know what? If we don't try, we're never going to get it done. So I lived here and going on 6 years of being here. And for the first 4, I just heard a bunch of belly aching about we need a pool. There's not enough indoor recreation activities for kids or anyone around here, and nobody doing anything about it. So some of you may or may not know, the first step was Platte Valley Martial Arts, and this initiative is in fact an initiative of Platte Valley Martial Arts. It's how we started. We're a 501c3 going on 5 years of operation. We've been here now 3 downtown. But our mission is to provide the help for the health, fitness, welfare of residents of the valley. And so it seemed appropriate for us to sort of try to lead the charge on this, simply because, you know, I frequently believe, or I'm fond of the quote of be the change you want to see in the world, right? So you can sit back and bellyache about it, or you can take a crack at it. And if you get it done, great. If not, can't say we didn't try. And we are really giving it a college try. Like I said, we have one donor that's about a third. He's committed to a third of everything. So of capital construction and what we raise on the endowment. We have about another 3.5 raised independently from local donors. That gets us somewhere on the order of $8 million raised. So that is no small amount. And when we came back with the operation, the cost to run this thing, honestly, I was ready to fold it just because it seemed like a lot. It is a lot of money to come up with on an annual basis. But when a couple donors stepped up and made that kind of offer, it's hard to walk away from somebody saying they're willing to pay for a third of this thing. So we're going to take a run at it. And that's just where we're at. I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. I realize, and I've been quoted by the radio and stuff as saying this is a pipe dream, because it is. But if you don't dream, dreams don't come true. So that's kind of our philosophy on it. And I do not intend to try to shove this project down anybody's throat. If we can't clearly demonstrate that it can be viable for 30 to 50 years, that the money's there, that it's a solid plan, I do not intend to ask any of these donors for a single dime. You know, we've collected $35,000 through 50 different donors in the community, small, to pay for what we've done so far. But in terms of the big money, we're not, I respect these people too much to get into their pocketbook to open up into a failed project. And the same is true of this body here. I respect the town, and I don't want to get anybody into something that I'm not trying to strap an albatross to anybody's neck or anything like that. So I just wanted to come and introduce myself and give you a quick synopsis, and I guess ask if you have any questions. So
Is the operational costs, what would that cover?
it would cover everything, staff, everything, operations for the pool. It includes all the utility costs, everything like this.
Facility maintenance.
Facility maintenance,
Update.
salaries,
Training.
insurance. It has everything built into it. And I'll make sure you get a copy of that. It's been floating around for we published it last fall, but I'll make sure it's like 100-page documents,
Okay.
very detailed.
And who would run that payroll and stuff out of there, Nick?
The proposal now, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, if anybody has a better idea, please share it. I don't think I have the answer here. I'm just trying to take a run at this thing. So if there's a better way to do it, speak up, because let's get it right. That's all I want out of
Yeah.
this, is to get it right.
We're
But
willing to work.
right now, the thought is that this nonprofit would be an operating entity. We would own the payroll, the benefits, everything. And we would just enter into service agreements that would be commitments from the towns and school district and so on. It would get us somewhere on the order of $500,000 a year, maybe contributed through various entities. And then we fill the gap with our endowment, which would be managed by, right now, we've looked at the Wyoming Community Foundation. It guarantees a 4% payout every year. If it grows more than that, they put the excess back into it, which helps you adjust for inflation on your endowment. But it's a guaranteed 4% payout. So if it goes under that, then they still kick you into 4% because of they are independently endowed in their own right. So we would look at 4% on 4 million or whatever going toward the operations for $5 million endowment, whatever it ends up being. So that's the concept.
Sounds like a good plan, just needs blueprinted and stuff. And I mean, we've worked with you on it.
Well, I appreciate that. And like I said, my intention is to come back when I've got 16 million bucks in my hand and say,
Yeah.
okay, now let's talk, let's have the conversation. The other thing is, like, there might be some questions about, well, why should the town kick in public money to run this thing that's operated by a private nonprofit or whatever? But the bylaws or the proposal is that organization, the board, would be comprised of ex officio members from each of the public entities that kick in. So ex officio just means they get a seat at the board simply by virtue of being the town of Saratoga. So it would be like one council person from Saratoga gets appointed, one from Encamp gets appointed, the school board. So like at least half the board is represented by the entities that are that have entered into these service agreements to kick in money to run it. And in that way, we would hope their interests are represented at least, you know. And then maybe the other half would be interested community members. We would hire an executive director. That person would function very much like the recreation department director that you all have, and then have staff from there on down. So.
Current steering committee, and if somebody's interested in helping with that, can they contact you?
Sure. If anybody, like I said, we're all ears. If anybody has any ideas or energy to help, you can call me. My number is 307-461-8040. My email is nhatterley@gmail.com. You can find me down there for 4 hours every night on Tuesday and Thursday and kids classes. So I'm not hard to find, just at the old bald head. So I just wanted to give you guys some information so you feel more prepared when people ask about it. Because I know, you know, there another question I've received, well, two questions that probably are worth mentioning. One is what happens to the old pool. I have a multi-phase vision in my head where we get this one built. There's an outdoor council grant money that's available, and they have funded splash pads and stuff. If it was up to me, I would raise that old pool, take it out, improve the parking area, and maybe use some of the existing infrastructure, the pumps and so on, to put in a splash. But that grant money, I think we're a shoe-in for that grant money, but it has to be committed to an outdoor space. It's federal money administered by the Wyoming Outdoor Council, but it has to be committed to an outdoor space that's publicly free to use by the public, which fits in perfect with the hot springs. Another question is about the availability of water. Of course, around here, we're very heavily focused on water issues as an agricultural community. I think the football field at the high school uses more water than this pool is going to use. It's a closed system, and so it's not like they're draining it or emptying it all the time. Based on John Winter was originally on our steering committee before he left, and a lot of questions and thought went into how much water it would take and this sort of thing, you know. The architects that designed it came here. They toured the existing pool, the existing hot springs facilities. They're very familiar, you know, they know where the water lines are. The site was selected with all that in mind. Any other questions?
Well, thank you for
Yeah,
coming and
sure.
sharing all this with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't want to take too much of your time.
When you get $16 million, come back and see it.
Hey, I'll do that. I'm gonna keep working on it. So thank you guys. If anyone has any questions, just let me know.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Okay, we'll move on.
Hey, Chuck. Yeah, question.
Yes. Yes, approach.
Make it very brief. I think we know all on this day, June 6th is a kind of a holy day. Those who know what June 6th is. Reason I'm here is my name's David Worthington, and I am a beekeeper. And I'm here to request the town council to not to spray my property on 204 Hickory. The last council abided by this, and they sprayed my alley, the very last. And it really did help. 2 years before that, it killed all my bees. Bees are a fantastic barometer of the environment. And if bees are dying, something's wrong. So it seemed to work last year when they sprayed my alley on West Hickory. The last, the bees are in the hive after foraging, and it did help. Also, there's another hive on Walnut, West Walnut. If you could do that at the same time, not spray, just spray it the last. Thanks, that's all I have.
That's already been discussed with the boys that do that, with Chuck McVeigh. He heads up that part of it. He has the license, and it's already been discussed, and that was their plan. I believe he's already had a training with some of the people that's gonna run the foggers. Aerial spraying is probably coming. First go around will be with larvicide, and it'll be just in certain areas where the pond water is and along the river. So, but then we'll get into later, probably spraying the whole town, and that'll be communicated out like it is. And hopefully he'll spray late in the evenings.
That's great. The later the better. These are in the hive. I also do the hives up and down the valley. And I used to work for the mosquito abatement. So and we spray as late as we can in the valley because absolutely these will die. So and it seemed to help up and down the valley on the hives that we put out. And thank you. I just want to make sure the word gets
That is how we're operating.
Yep.
Anyway, and I'll reiterate to the boys to spray that alley over there last.
Thank
They're
you.
gonna, even though we'd like to start a little earlier because it's a little warmer for the mosquitoes, but we're not. We decided to leave it at 7 till 9:30. And so that'll be the last street spray,
Excellent.
any place there be.
Excellent. Also, if we could educate the town or the alleyways that the mosquitoes take cover during the day on all the high grass. And we could cut.
We are working on that too. We have started our mowing process. We have one full-time and two part-time people that they've been starting, one of them started on the flower bed out front. Now we're gonna move into weed eaters. You know, it's hard to get them to run a weed eater all day long, especially in the heat. So they'll be doing that at various times of the day, usually early in the mornings and.
I was thinking more of the landowner doing it behind the.
You know, and some of it's our responsibility too, because the town owns the alleys. And we do need to mow more, and we are trying to get that worked into a schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on items from the public? Okay, we'll move on to council comments. Any council comments?
I have a couple.
Okay,
There's a prevention event coming up. So we recently posted some information. You'll see these flyers around. Given some recent events in the valley, we wanted to bring awareness and offer some training opportunities for folks for suicide prevention. So please keep an eye out for, if you're on Facebook, you can check there and keep an eye out for these flyers. There's some details there. There's some information on who you can contact. Tracy came to the couple of meetings ago, last meeting. And her contact information is there for you to register if you want to do the mental health first aid training. It's a couple of full days of really good training and awareness and resources and folks to share some information for you. So I wanted to share that. And then a few people have stopped me in the last couple of weeks asking about the hot pool. And I know that we closed it because of for safety reasons, but a lot of folks have mentioned that it's negatively affecting revenue and local businesses. And we've got a lot of grumblers from out of town. And some of the things brought up were that we remember years ago when the water was high, we still used the pool. Like we would still wade in there. I went because it didn't scorch my skin off, but we remember in the past. And so they're just asking for explanation and if we could maybe consider reopening.
on that lines, we go under what John Lasko recommends, and it's still up above the chairs. The river is on a decline. And I've been approached by numerous people too.
Yeah.
Mainly locals though.
Yeah.
But anyway, we discussed that again today. I think I'm gonna assign that to the police chief to go over and see if he considers it safe, unsafe. Or we reopen that, does he deal with public safety? And maybe take John with you, and if nothing else, if you can come up with a date, because the river is dropping quite rapidly. If you would take care of that for us, and maybe we can have a date out within the next week to get this open.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from the council? Okay, we'll move on to reports from departments, town hall. Looks like we have a special event permit from the mall for the 4th of July weekend festival. You want to present your report?
Possibly. Wasn't actually the one to put it together, but I think I can get the gist of it. So on the Sunday after Togi Days, Firewater / the mall, we've done a full day of music traditionally. This I think will be our 4th time doing it. And this year we are partnering with the Riviera. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe is the special permit include the Riviera or are they doing their own?
It just has used the organization and the applicant.
Yeah.
They're gonna,
Okay.
okay, because I know we talked about an open beverage.
Yeah.
Thing between the two, and I don't know if this is if it was included in. Okay, so we will just be doing a day of music outside at the restaurant. It's free, open to the community. Yeah, I don't think we have any special requests. I think there's,
Open container, are you requesting that?
well, is that a separate thing, Marie? Do you know if the Riviera is doing that? Maybe. I don't know if they decided to follow through on requesting the open container. If it's not in here, then maybe is that a separate thing?
It says in here for their patio space.
So
Yeah.
if it's just for our space, sorry, I'm not very educated on this. If it's just for our space, then we don't need an open beverage permit because anything within our fence.
It
is
says,
our property.
in addition to lawn and patio space at Riviera Motor Lodge.
Oh, okay, so it is included on. So the idea is we want to call it the River Wander, and we want there to be, there's an alley that goes between the mall and the Riviera, and we kind of want it to be this River Wander. And people are going to wander with their alcoholic beverages, so we thought we might as well just go ahead and nip that in the butt and see if we can do some sort of open permit. And we would encourage people to use that alley, not go all the way out to the highway and come back around. Either put up some sort of barricade or signs or something to keep it off the highway and more in the lawn of the Riviera and the malt. And probably that's right across from them. People tend to wander over there as well. So there's going to be events. I don't know if they're having music or not, but I know like games and stuff set up at the Riviera, and then we have music all day at the mall, and to be kind of this communal thing because the outdoor space at the Riviera is really beautiful. They did a really awesome job with that renovation.
Are those houses right directly north of you along the river? Are they still owned by the Riviera or are they private?
No, that one is private, but that gentleman that hasn't lived there since last fall, so I don't know the story, but he's not
Okay,
there right now.
the only thing I thought about is wandering. How's that gonna be to patrol for you?
We've actually been discussing not being able to deal with it. I guess logistically, I think it can be worked out. A couple of the concerns that I have is the alleyway is actually the old through. So that is probably privately owned.
Okay.
So we may have to look at that. In addition to that, we would probably have to look at the Saratoga Street. Saratoga for possible closure because that goes in from First Street towards the river.
On the Riviera as well.
Yeah, so logistically, I think it can be worked out, but I do have some concerns of how we could do that. We actually looked at a couple of things today about the possibility of, but not steps that maybe just be more worked out so we can keep pedestrian traffic safe. And then be up to the councils or that kind of table. And I think there's a couple of things we can look at that I haven't seen anything from the Riviera yet. I did read Danny's letter and then saw the application. But nothing from.
We have a rec from the Bank of Commerce. Would you like to say something?
No, I didn't know that that property was owned by us where the drive, I thought that was an alley. I will find out, and if it,
I thought we looked, you and I discussed that day when we talked about the
Yeah.
potential. And I got a hold of Craig Topaz because they parked their one piece of equipment out there and he said, yes, it does. Pretty sure Craig told me it did belong to the bank
so,
or the property owner there that owns the building,
right.
owns that.
Onyx shows that it's
That was
part of the property.
an issue or not.
So I don't, that would be the safest place to do it if we could all possibly do it. So. Okay, I'll let you guys work out those details.
Yeah, and if the open container wander part doesn't work out, or it's not the end of the world, people can finish their drinks before they go to the Riviera, but we just thought it'd be kind of a nice thing, so. But mostly we'll have music all day, which I think is
Okay.
a big part of the special
Is
events.
there any other questions for McCall on this? Do I have a motion to approve this special use permit?
I'll make a motion to approve the request from the Malt and Firewater.
Okay,
Second,
all in favor?
I,
And now we have one for special events permit for Touch a Truck. I believe that's you.
I'm Barb Youngford with the Platte Valley Kiwanis. And this would be our third Touch a Truck event and community picnic. And we want it at Kathy Globe Park. And then we want the road to be closed from Constitution and Holly. So we can park the trucks
In the street.
in the street. And I spoke with the dentist today, Dr. Scott, and he said we could use his parking lot. So, and I spoke with the Valley Village, and if we're approved, then we can use the parking.
But I again return to you. Do you have a problem closing that street? We don't have a rep from the fire department here, but we still have access to all those buildings from a different way in.
I don't, just that one block of streets.
Okay. Are there any other questions regarding this? I think it's great and can I entertain a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion.
Can I just point out that the date on here, Barb, if you'll just, it's dated June 25th. Or when you applied, so if we could just update it so that it's May.
Oh, okay,
That's it. I just wanted to make sure it was all
okay.
copacetic. I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. We'll move on to the special event application for the Independence Run on 7/1/23.
Sorry, I'm not as dressed up as Barb. You're all fancy coats.
So this will be our second year. And I'm teaming up with the rec department, again, the town rec department with this. With no rec director, it's been a little, I kind of just took the helm and done it. But this year, so last year I had 107 people register, which is pretty amazing that they all wanted to, I don't know, run. I was okay with taking the registrations, but this year we're going to utilize it in a different way, so we don't have to close any streets. The plan is to have everybody kind of park over at the hobo pool. And then up on top, because that's still owned by town. In years past, they've said we could park just in this, I know it's kind of sagebrushy or whatever, but it does open as parking right there. In that big open field. By the community garden. And so we would utilize that. What the runners would do, they'd register, we'd run over the, we'd run over the bridge. around the resort, which is, so the houses there are private, but the road around the resort is actually town property. So I'm not asking to close that because it'll still flow through, even if I do have 107. They would run around that twice. They would come back over to Veterans Island, run around it once, and that gets us smidge off of the 5K, but I don't think anybody will mind.
And you'll finish at the hot pool.
Yep, it'll finish right there, yeah, at Veterans Island, and then they'll exit back off over the hot pool so that we're not interfering with Saratoga Days itself. Like last year on Bridge Street, I was doing double duty because I was trying to do the run, but then I was trying to help Scott get the stage set up and everything for Saratoga Days. So this will just eliminate that so that the run takes place and then we all just move over to Saratoga Days, continue.
Chief,
And I've already got enough sponsors from the awesome community. I've already raised 1,600 and that'll cover the shirts that we're going to give out. That's going to cover the granola bars, bananas, waters, everything that we'll give out to runners.
question? Chief, do you have a problem?
Issues.
You're not gonna close the Saratoga Inn on, that road is a narrow right away. Is there any way we could get up some signage for?
Yes, and so, and what I'll have is flaggers.
Perfect.
Yep, so we'll have flaggers, well, so nobody gets lost first. Too, so that, they gotta know where the course is and, cars still see, okay, there's something going on if there's not a runner there immediately, but,
Right.
but yeah, so I tried to, so I moved it just because last year we utilized the bridge.
Yeah.
And it was great until cars wanted to get across. I don't know why.
We had flaggers, but they
Right.
weren't paying attention, right?
So I just thought moving it over and still utilizing town property, was still had parking, it would just eliminate that and it could run smoothly and then we could just move over to Saratoga Days. So it's not interfering in a way of blocking streets.
Perfect. I like the idea.
Saratoga Days already.
That's kind of why I teamed it up with them, because
Should,
they're gonna go run and get tired and then they're gonna go drink and then
should meld right together.
that's the plan
Okay,
as of right.
any other questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to accept this application for Independence Run Day on 7/1/23?
I make motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll be back next week for Brewfest.
Okay, I'm gonna pull out of order just a little bit. What we have is the ordinance and the budget reading for the second go, but I'm gonna take care of everything else under town hall first. So we'll move on to town right away.
You asked me to put on the agenda, but I don't know what for.
I don't remember asking you that. Interesting.
I could help.
Huh?
I could help.
Okay, because I'm lost on it. And you're right under that, so.
Yeah, so the issue about the town right of way is the right of way on the Valley Village property is very deep and we're surveying and we will be back probably next meeting to ask you to give us a long-term agreement to use the 18, I think, to 20 feet that is on the side of the street.
Right.
That's what that is about, I think.
Yeah, what that's about is instead of going in and trying to vacate that portion of the street and everything, since it's a utility corridor, all attorneys involved with this transaction have agreed that a simple MOU is all we need to take care of this. And so that's what we decided to do. I apologize, but
That's what that was about.
so anyway, they'll be back to ask for that, but I just wanted to get it out before that they're coming with that. Okay. Now we'll move on to Valley Village waiver of tap fee.
Yes, so we are putting in a fire suppression system and we are also putting in a fire alarm system. Surprise, surprise, there's no alarm system at the clinic building. Anyway, as part of designing the fire suppression system, we have engineered what level of water we need, a 4-inch tap. This tap would not do anything except sit there day after day because we're not ever planning to have a fire. Thank you very much. So in your packet, the picture that you see, the picture that you see is showing that on the north side of the clinic, to the right of the little white sidewalk, is first the existing potable water tap that it will be used for irrigation and all the rest of it. And then beside it is the new tap. It requires a 4-inch tap. My understanding is you will take the tap on the main and we'll bring it to the curb and we will pick up and do all the construction, take it through the crawl space up to a suppression riser. And we will pay for your work to do the actual physical work. And all we're asking for is a waiver of the fee itself.
And that's a 4-inch tap, correct?
Yes.
4-inch taps are 7,500, I do believe. And you've agreed to pay for us to install it.
Yes, sir.
And the material.
Yes, sir. All we're asking is the fee waiver. Everything else we'll pay for.
Guys, my feelings are on it, that I don't have a problem.
I don't either.
Whatsoever, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Please share, everybody share theirs.
I don't see an issue with it.
We're stepping out of bounds just a little bit with the joint powers board.
I was gonna say, is this something we maybe need to take to the meeting next week? And
My understanding is that that's not because you are the ones that assess the fee and the fee is written to the town.
But they govern the fee. But
They have also waived, or somebody waived the fee for the Flat Valley Community Center for suppression and for the schools. So
I have no problem. If all I would need is a
I don't
motion
see
in
an
a
issue
second.
with it, but
I don't either. And, all in all, it comes down to us anyway on this, as far as I'm concerned, on the waiver of the tap fee. So I'm willing to move forward.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to do it.
Do I have a second?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Ellie.
I'm about to right away.
I'll remember it next time. Boy, I was drawing a blank there.
I still can.
You bet. Be sure and take that back to the joint powers board. All right. Moving along, now I lost my agenda. Okay. Next is, I'll turn this over to Marie to explain these two bills she would like to reuse, so.
First, for Immunicode meetings is for the program that I use for minutes and agendas. And it ties into our website. The next invoice is for the website itself. So it can not only host it, but for everything involved with it. This is a yearly bill. And if you guys have any questions on it, please let me know.
Well, they both work with Cassell, correct?
They don't work with Cassell, they're separate from Cassell. This is, like, currently I'm taking my minutes on this program right now. And then this actually saves me several days of work. Versus before when I didn't have it, it would take me a lot longer to go through everything and put everything together.
So the Civic Plus is the host, so we're paying an annual license and hosting fee. That's that second one, and then the 3,400 is for the license for the software that you're using.
For, yeah, the software. It's not just the license, but it's for use for everything with this. With the
It's an annual fee, so we have to renew each year. And then for the hosting on the website, do they do all the administrative? Do they provide any kind of service, or are we?
They provide, if you need help, they, you just send in a ticket and then they help you. But we put in all the work, and then if we need anything, they come in and assist.
Do we pay for that when they assist with
It
things?
comes with it.
Okay.
Other questions? Do I have a motion to pay these annual fees of $3,400 for the meetings and agenda portion of the software, and then the website for $3,700?
And make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Saratoga Inn Bridge, and I'm gonna have Marie read this, but I want to explain a few things first. YDOT inspects all bridges within the state of Wyoming. They inspect the bridge at the Saratoga Inn, which is the second bridge in. It crosses from subdivision 1 over to subdivision 2. They found a bad spot in the bridge, so they naturally lowered the weight down. The issue we have with the bridge is its weight limit will not support a fire truck. So we have to use a low water crossing, which probably can't use right now because of high water. And we cross a ditch and come in the back way. Well, Creed was working with YDOT, Mayor James was working with YDOT, and they couldn't find ownership of the bridge. Well, in 1984, there was a dedication and all roadways, bridges, water and sewer lines become property of the town of Saratoga at the Saratoga Inn. So we basically own the bridge. We received this update. I shipped all this information off to YDOT in January, and we just got this letter back. Marie, would you please read that letter?
You have the letter. I don't have.
You didn't bring it?
No,
Got Andy. Gotta look for it.
it's not,
Not in the minutes.
no, I didn't put it in there.
Oh, well, okay, I thought you did.
No.
Anyway, well, I can explain what's in the letter. What YDOT said is they will come in and build a new bridge at no cost to the town of Saratoga. Okay, after the bridge is built, it then becomes the town of Saratoga's responsibility. They'll still come out, perform their yearly inspections, or I don't know how often they come for sure. I know they come at least once a year. And they'll do their yearly inspections, and we'll be required to take care of the maintenance on it. So if there's a pothole in it or something like that, we're required to fix it. I sent back notice that we are very interested in this, but this is something we have to bring before the council and to get your input.
If it's not costing us anything, I don't see a problem with it at all.
That's the way the letter states. All this is all I'm asking for is a motion to move forward with this. I will keep everybody updated on this as we move along.
So it won't be a commitment.
It will not be a commitment. It's just basically saying we are interested and we are willing to move forward. But we haven't seen no designs. We haven't seen anything. I think it'd be a good idea to at least move into another step or two with this. That's my opinion.
So. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion second made, voted on, and we will move forward with White Otten and the bridge replacement at the Saratoga end. Okay. Skipped over the second reading of ordinance 867 budget. Everybody has their budget in front of them. Are there any questions to what we have prepared in the budget? We can run down through just the main line items, the town hall, the planning. You have that for me, Marie? Please read those.
So for total anticipated general fund revenues, $3,525,500. Total anticipated enterprise revenues, $2,198,665. Town hall administration, $884,114. Planning, $357,310. Municipal court, $37,300. Police department, $1,186,325. Volunteer fire department, $72,175. Street department, $629,400. Swimming pool, $78,700. Hot pool, $40,650. Saratoga Lake, $14,500. Parks, $163,600. Recreation department, $150,900. In community center, $250,000. With the total anticipated expenditures of the general fund to be $3,925,975. Sorry, $3,925,974. Total excess revenues above expenditures of the general fund, $400,474.
Okay. Before we go any further into passing the budget, let's explain a few things in detail. The town have what they call a WildStar account, and in this WildStar it's basically the town's savings account, but it's limited to what money can be spent on. We have the specific purpose tax money. Right now, as of 5/31, we had a balance of $2,586,891.67. You move over, we have the airport fund, which this is money generated at the airport. They have $189,800.97. We've got the TB and the EF impact funds. As of right now, we have $145,722 in that. We have the Gateway West Impact F Fund. It's my understanding that this money has been spent. That was a previous one that we had. We move over to Saratoga Pest Fund. This was all done prior to this council and the past council, but they have a pest fund of $12,163.46. I don't understand why it's not in with the weed and pest fund. You move over to Saratoga water tank maintenance. They have $211,668.28 in that fund. Saratoga Bridge Avenue construction. They have $134,054.57 in that fund. I am still doing research on where this money can actually be spent. Then you walk over to the sewer or the water, and this is their slush fund. This is their savings fund. They have $563,752.32. This is all on sewer only. Because this is built from an enterprise fund that we have just taken money from and put in a savings account. Can only be spent on water and sewer projects. And we have the weed and pest fund, which has actually more than this because we have some in the budget right now too, but we have $241,270.40. This can only be spent on weed and pest because it's assessed to each individual that live in this town for weed and pest control. And we move over to the sewer fund, which contains $610,966. This is their slush fund that built up. And money has been put in there for repairs, something along that line. Then we go to Never Forget Park, and there's $179,821.93 in that fund. And that is, a lot of that's been built up by donation only. Basically, it can only be spent on Never Forget Park. Move over to the impact funds. I just want everybody to be in. We have Transwest Express transmission line. No money has been received. This money was set aside for this money to be spent on was the lake campground, 32,000. I'm just rounding these numbers off. RV sewer dump, 133,000. Shower in the bathroom. Oh, wait a minute. Let me back up. The RV dump was 32,000. The shower in the bathroom was 133,000. We move into Department of Public Works, $75,460. Well, that would entail streets and roads and new sewer lines and whatever that money would buy. The next line item is Saratoga PD Public Safety. $596,000 is set aside for the police department. And we have loss of tourism. And this comes in at $162,000. Road improvements, $318,626, and temp residents of $194,400. Now that's all set aside for these projects. I have talked to people on the council and on the tourism. We could loss of tourism, we could use it to promote things like maybe painting at the hot pool, painting at the pool, possibly some advertisements downtown, flower baskets like are going up, but that's pretty much how that money's got to be spent. Okay, we'll move into Two Rivers Lucky Star Wind Project. We have received no money from that. The money is specified for Saratoga Police Department, $374,588, $75,000 for general impact. We move over to Ecola Flats. This is in Wildstar and there's $75,000 in there and it's for loss of tourism. We move over to TB Flats and it's done. It's gone away. They spent $65,679.40. Past councils have. Move over to Choke Cherry. Choke Cherry is on hold at this time. So I'm not for sure exactly how much the town's supposed to get, whether it's $3,187,000.52, because they are redefining the impact part of it and determining how they are going to split this money out. They're looking at going direct impact to each communities rather than a percentage. The last one is the Gateway South transmission line. And there's $208,417 that right? Sound right. Don't have that in there, so I don't know. Have we received money on the Gateway South?
Gateway West.
Yes, but South, do you have your little book? According to this, in 22-23, they received $70,038.
They budgeted.
Gateway,
But I see no revenue that's come into this account.
Yeah, the actual shows zero here.
we received some money, but not the full amount.
Okay. We need to research that, but it's project specific too. 12,000 some dollars. Spent on Saratoga Volunteer Fire Department. Temporary workers, $5,545, and hobo pool plumbing, $38,000. That's where that money is to be spent. Okay. In Gateway West transmission line, this is in Wildstar, we have 1,500,000 in it. Okay. It's project specific too. Sewer and water lines to the lake. $573,000 was set aside for that. Department of Public Works, $194,947. Saratoga PD Public Safety, $128,000. Loss of Tourism, $182,000. Road improvements, $245,000. And general impacts of $174,700. All this money that the town has, which is quite some money, is mostly project specific. You can read through, and it's public knowledge on what this specific purpose tax money is set aside for. And it's set aside for that only. And that was voted on by the people of Saratoga. McCall.
Are the impact funds, is that like per year or is that over the extent?
I think that's over the extent of that project. So some of this money, we have not received all of it in total. Like it looks like Choke Cherry received $70,000. And from what I can tell, looking at the budget, it's been spent.
I was thinking like anything that's designated as tourist loss, that seems like if you gathered all those up, it could be used for some sort of larger community improvement project. As opposed to the smaller pieces, but I don't know if you had to use that this year or over the course of all these impact things.
And that part I can't answer. I'm trying to get to the impact council themselves on this to see exactly. But pretty much everybody I've talked to said you cannot supplement your day-to-day operations or your general fund. It has to be a project specific. They say if you run out of money, if you like one of your projects and one of them on that special purpose tax deals with the swimming pool. If you don't use all that money on at the swimming pool for I believe it was for a kiddie play.
It's for the heating, replacing heating to there's piping that's been.
And then also for the deck resurfacing. You don't spend all that money, then you move it up into another fund. So that's how that has been how it's been explained to me. I'm still doing some research on this. But the biggest point is we can't supplement the general fund in any way with this money. We are going to use some of the money this year. and it's being pulled out in this budget. The police department has asked for 2 new cars. Right now, on the second reading of the budget, we're set on 1 instead of 2. We're gonna use, there was money set aside by the previous council of $250,000 for road improvements. We're gonna pull 50,000 out of one of them that we know of, or well, 300,000 out of one of the impact funds to work on streets. Along that, we've got some, haven't seen a quote on them. They're in the process. And that'll come before the council as soon as I get them on, some chip seals around town, patching and stuff along that line. And then we're looking at a new small plow truck, a 1-ton truck with a snow plow on it because our other trucks are getting so old. And that'll be paid for with impact money that we can pull out for the street department. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I wanted everybody to understand that. Yes, the town has a lot of money, but it can only be spent in certain places. And a prime example, if you go into the budget itself, under planning, we have $357,000 in the planning budget, plus some change. $216,000 of that is for this grant. So we have to budget that much. We have to have that much because this is a reversible reimbursement grant. So we have to pay for it up front, then ask for reimbursements. So this will all of the grant money, that $216,000 will be reimbursed to the town, all except for 20,000 of that. So that's why some of the budget numbers, I mean, I think last year the planning budget was, like maybe 60,000. I don't have that in front of me. But that's how we're looking at money. And how we're going to cover some of these costs to help improve the town, but still, we still have to run day-to-day operations. Are there any questions? Any questions on the budget?
Just have a comment. The Trans West hasn't started, but we're expecting that this summer, right? And Choke Cherry was on hold, but that has kind of picked up in the last few days. So we can look at, as well as Gateway South, there's some potential for revenue, right? But they're going to all be protected funds.
As long as we spend it the way it's been set aside for. Yes.
Just encouraging to know that there's some potential for new revenue that hasn't been captured yet.
McCall, I will ask that question when I finally get in front of somebody, if this money can be put for one project for loss of tourism, or maybe a couple of 2 or 3.
If you get down the road, let's say we get to build these paths, like that seems like it would benefit both the community and tourism. And so if you could take, because it seemed like there was multiple impact funds.
Every one of them had tourism listed out.
You could take all of those and pump them together for one community group project. Maybe it's a splash pad, or maybe it's pads, or maybe it's
Very true.
something.
Very true. And there is a lot of money set aside. I haven't done the math, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's somewhere, I know there's somewhere between 500 and $1 million in that for loss of tourism. So I will ask that question. Yes, sir. Are you the newspaper, or is this a concerned citizen?
A newspaper question, a press question.
Okay.
You did a good job of explaining where all this impact money goes. And, but what I'm trying to understand is you got a budget of $3,900,000 and change right now, and you're short 400,000. Did I miss an explanation as to what income the town has for general revenue to cover that 400,000?
The general revenue fund is.
It might be in my notes.
That's something we've been working on.
That is where, that's why we've had, I think, 6 workshops on this. You'll go back into into the budget itself under revenues, and it'll tell you what the revenues, some of them are projected, a lot of them are projected, but we went off of what the Wyoming Association of Municipalities, which my understanding, all the towns do. That's a member, and it's all projected, you know, and the best one I can use for an example is it's projected by WAN that property tax revenues are gonna be down this year. Well, I don't understand how, because everybody you talk to, property tax went up. So how can that be down on our? But that's what's projected. We may get a bump from property tax. We don't know. So, but we have to base our budget based on projections.
Yes, I understand that. Is there any way of determining on any given time, like for the council meeting, how much money is actually in the general fund to keep the lights on in the town?
Yeah.
And I'm not
Have that number in front of you?
It's not intending to press you. I'm just.
No, we had,
trying to understand.
I can tell you this, I'm sure we can get that number. I
Okay.
doubt if it's ready available right yet, but if you want to write down to, but we are behind one audit now. The town is behind one audit. Our audits are coming back relatively, well, not relatively, real close to what the town started with. Okay, the previous year. So example, 2021 budget, 2019-20 budget versus 2021 budget is within, I think it was $100,000. Okay, so we've got to get this budget done, this audit done, so we can compare 21-22, 22-23 and see where we're at. That will give us, these audits have been so far behind, our general fund may be off just a little bit.
Okay.
Because we haven't got the audits caught up yet, but it is coming soon.
So to clarify, where is the 400,000 coming from? Are you still looking?
Well,
Did you say you're still looking for them?
It's still be looking for revenue. Why we have one more reading of this budget, and then every line item will be read out loud. We are looking at still possibly cutting line items. That's why we've looked towards impact funds for a pickup, for a police car, because we have money in a reserve account that we can pull from, and it doesn't come out of the general fund budget. His budget items will not come out of I guess it will come out of the general fund, but we'll put the money in from impact funds into the general fund to subsidize it to pay for his new vehicle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Another quick question. You're short a recreation department head and a public works department head.
Yes, we are.
Are they being projected into this budget as
Yes.
to their salary?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are projected in, 4% raises are projected in for most of the town employees. We're looking at more, but this will be done before the next budget reading. We're putting together a structure on pay and everything. So everybody will starting wage will be set in stone. Instead of like, my friend gets $20 more an hour than you would, And that's the way, honestly, that's the way numbers have been pivoted from every direction you can imagine. We are looking at people that don't require insurance, at giving them a little bit more money because the insurance package is $34,000. And these people don't take the insurance because maybe a spouse or somebody else has an insurance comparable. So we're looking at giving them a little bit more money than what another, to even out the keel, a little bit. So if you don't take insurance, you may get $2 an hour more than somebody that does take the insurance. Because that insurance has got to be figured into their budget.
What happens if then during their employment, they decide to take the insurance?
Then they'll have to wait for open enrollment and that will be deducted. That's what we're gonna show on this structure. Okay, yes, it's gotta be shown, but you know, I can give you a prime example. One employee was hired at $14 an hour when he was told he was gonna get $16 an hour. This is way before this council. He ended up getting $15 an hour. Proceeded with his CDL and got $16 an hour. Now he has a CDL and he makes $16 an hour, but he doesn't take in, well, he doesn't need the insurance. He went ahead and took it thinking he'd get dual pay and it doesn't work out. So he's better off to ask for more money with the CDL. This is what the council's looking at. Nothing's in stone yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the public about this? Any other questions on the budget? Do I have a motion to pass the budget on its second reading?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, we'll move on to reports from department. Looks like police department is up.
Thank you. Good evening. Start out with our calls for service since last council meeting. We've had 248 calls for service through the police department dispatch. I add, since we're getting kind of close to the middle of the year, maybe a little bit premature, but we ran 1,559 calls for service through our dispatch so far this year. Since last council, 18 citations totaling about $2,338 in potential fines. And since the inception of this, the DigiTicket, which is a computerized ticket writing program, which keeps tracks, not only does it help us, it scans the citations, takes information from our CAD system and populates the citations. So it's a lot smoother, quicker. We've written a total of, written a total of 148 citations since October and given 206 written warnings for a total of 354 during that time. That's the only other thing that I had, the additional stuff for the council this go around, as I wanted to come before the council and ask if we could possibly get the approval for an expenditure purchase of stop sticks. The police cars, for the officers, can actually carry them in their vehicle. Stop sticks are a tire deflation device. It's a 3-foot sections. They're 9 foot in total. They're made to throw in front of a car that in a pursuit or something like that to help number one, slow the car down so we could maybe safely have it stop and ultimately take the people, stop the car. One of the things that I think is it's really important for us is one of the things that I want to try to do and the officers want to try to do. I don't want that car to get into Saratoga. A lot of these pursuits, a good majority of them start out on the interstate, different places. And some of these guys are just looking for places, the next place to get off to try to get away. We actually have one set of, the stop sticks are completely self-contained. They're a small triangle, about yay big around, 3-foot sections. So, and they're kind of embossed in or layered in cardboard or plastic. So you don't have the open deflation devices, the spikes, so to speak. The old devices have one here that actually belongs to our sheriff's office. It was purchased a little over 30 years ago. The sheriff at that time, they're still made, they're still available. But there's one set here and we actually keep it in in the office, so it's not real handy in order if we get a pursuit or we have to stop somebody to get it here, but they're not real handy to use. I've had an opportunity to use them several times over the years, and you're guaranteed that you're going to come away bleeding from someplace on your body because they're just a strip. You throw them out, they expand like a big accordion. Car goes over the top of them, you jerk it back, and 9 times out of 10 it wraps around your legs, and it's not very handy. These stop stick tire deflation devices are a little bit pricey. They are $485 a set. Asking for 6 sets, that would put 1 in each of the vehicles that we presently have. Be a total of, with shipping, which was $80, be a total of $2,990.
Questions?
Is this something that town folks or town police departments typically have? Seems more of a highway kind of thing.
No, that's pretty common in all departments because we all get involved in pursuits. One of the things that, like say the police department, sheriff's office, Medicine Bow, I think we might be one of the only departments, at least in Carbon County, that's not actually carrying them in the car right now.
Do we have a rough idea of how many pursuits we had in the last year?
I cannot tell you for sure in the year. I know in the last 3 months, last month, there were 4 on I-80 that I personally am aware of. I don't know how many other ones,
But one of our department people.
we've not been
participated
in, luckily, we've not been involved in any.
I think there were several last summer though, if I remember right, that came through here and
There were a couple.
encampment.
Yeah. One of them, we couldn't get stopped. Encampment got him, right?
Yeah, and I know particularly in Rollins, one of the things that we typically did is actually block the interchanges to try not to get them into town. That's something that somebody involved in the pursuit to try to do on either side of us. But we do have a pretty good stretch of wide open space between us that we can get out far enough and get a set of spikes between them. We have the possibility of ending a pursuit much quicker.
I would say by far, this is the safest way to end a pursuit there is.
Absolutely. Yep. They, once you run over the device, it is a hollow spike that lets the air out of the tire fairly slowly. So it doesn't cause a blowout or anything that, so the person loses the control. So it certainly, in addition to ultimately stopping, it slows the speeds down immensely.
Question?
One quick question, are they reusable? Or are they a one-time use?
This one here, you can replace sections and you can replace parts of it. So not completely reusable. Sometimes they get destroyed when they get hit at a fast speed.
But at least you don't have to buy a full set of spikes.
Right. But they do make, depending on how much damage is done to it, they do have some replaceable parts.
You have a question?
I was curious, how many times in the last 30 years have we used the one that we have right now?
I know it's been used. And actually, when they were purchased at that time, and the sheriff at that time put them in those parts of the county, it was because of if something started on the interstate, it could get that far. If it came up from the south, from Colorado into, Bags had a set, Medicine Bow had a set, Rollins had a set, and Saratoga had a set. So kind of the 4 main roads. But in talking with the guys the last couple of years, the incidents of pursuits have been going up fairly steadily. And that's only being exacerbated by the fact that some of the places around us are actually going to no pursuit policies. Colorado, several jurisdictions in Colorado and Utah both are doing pursuits now. Yeah, in very heavy metropolitan areas, they've made the decision that sometimes it's the risk far outweighs the. And that's something that's, anytime a pursuit's initiated, that's something that you evaluate constantly, whether or not the risk outweighs the.
So Mike, considering the circumstance, is it possible rather than having a set per vehicle to just have a set, like at a central location here? And if something the event arises, you could use just one?
Well, we do have one centrally located now. The problem with it is it never seems to come in when it's handy to go grab them, is the one thing. These sets here do have a mounting bracket on it, so they're made to mount in the car. I mean, it is something that you can grab and take with you. But then again, it's sometimes not always handy. So. Particularly if we've got one person working.
So you're looking at 4 sets, Mike?
6 sets, actually.
Pardon?
6.
Could you get by with less? And
There's 4 of us working right now. We do have the part-time vehicle, and that was actually keeping in mind that we have an unfilled position presently that we're still working on, seeing if we'll be able to keep forward with the budget.
Do you guys do shift change? Like you meet up and is it maybe something we could do like 3 of, and that shift change you swap it into the other bit? I know it's pain, but
we could.
that or do 3 now, and sometime when we see if we have more money, get you another 3 sets or something like that.
If that's the case, what we could do, we could save, if we want to go that route. They make some, instead of doing the tray mounts, they're carrying cases. And that will change this figure as well.
How much more does the case and all that run?
They've got it set up as blocks, so I'm not sure. I know there's a little bit difference between the soft carry case or the permanent mount, but I don't know exactly the price.
Well, I figure out about $500 a set. So close.
I'd say maybe go with 3 sets for now. And swap them back and forth.
Do that.
Would be my suggestion.
I'll redo the requisition and make the changes on it and get it for signature if that's council's wishes.
We're not being tight. We just don't have much to be tight with.
Understood.
We can get this done before the new budget. Can I get a motion to allow me to sign approximately a $1,600 bill for 3 of them? 1,600 to 1,700, something along that, for 3 sets. That way I can sign off of it. And I can ship the price out to everybody what we paid.
yeah,
I'd make the motion.
I'll second
Buy
it.
3 sets.
3 sets.
I am a second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, Mike?
That's it.
Okay, move on to the fire department. Briefly talked to Creed. They've had no call since the last council meeting. They did submit their budget. It was like, I don't know, $3,000 or $4,000 more than what it was last year. They were having their business meeting tomorrow night, and he would be at the final reading of the budget to answer any questions regarding our department. Okay, we'll move on to recreation department.
Okay. We have a quote here for painting the pool building exterior. We talked about this in our budget sessions and looked at reducing. We had 23,000 approximately in there for improvements on building or building updates. And we backed that down to 5,000. So we had 22,000 budgeted and dropped it by 17,500. So I'd like to get this in on this fiscal year for improvement on the just general maintenance. It's been probably about 17 or 2 years since we had it painted.
And we were gonna paint and do the fence repairs. Is that what we were gonna try to do before the end of June?
No fence repairs, just painting and new signage in the front.
How much is the quote for?
$5,040. Anthony wasn't able to come in tonight, but Gretel was in.
Is that him buying the paint?
Yes. He'll buy local. He talked to Shiley. I asked him to get it's there and at the lumber yard. We have a color picked out. He can start next week.
Is he stripping any of the old paint?
Stripping, he'll do power wash on everything. It's in pretty good shape. There's not a lot of chipping. And he'll just do 2 coats, start with a base coat, and he'll get an industrial type latex so that it's appropriate for being close to the water and the chemicals at the pool. So he's got 900 figured in for the paint.
More discussion?
Good.
Make a motion.
Sorry,
Is this just the exterior or the interior?
The exterior.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and seconded to paint the pool outside the pool building for $5,040. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next.
Okay. Open Gym continues. The calendar has been distributed on Facebook and I'm working with the community center folks, the staff there to keep things posted, and they're doing regular walk downs of the area. Our Open Gym supervisors are continuing to work daily, Monday through Thursday. Let's see. We finished our rec director interviews. We've done 3 so far. We've made a recommendation for a second interview. Has that been scheduled?
I haven't seen nothing.
You're scheduling? Are you scheduling, Ray?
I can, but
Well,
the email I got from you is she's gone for a week.
yeah, this week, but she's available next week. I was just checking. We had 4 people successfully pass a lifeguard certification, 2 full-time people, 2 part-time. They're actually substitutes. So I'd like to raise their wages there for that reason. They were starting at $10. We approved that in the special council meeting. So I'd like to increase that to 11. So with Whisper, her wage increase goes from $16 to $17 an hour per the agreement we made and approved. She started at 15, and with every certification, she gets a $1 increase. So she has her CPO and now lifeguard certification. Jane Carey, as a lifeguard, was making 10 and should make 11 now that she has her certification. Tyler Greenberg started at 10. Now 11, and David Killian at 10, now 11.
What was the second one you read off, the second name?
Jane Carey,
And she went from
10 to 11. All of this new lifeguards.
new lifeguards go from 10 to 11.
Yep.
And Whisper goes from 16 to 17.
Correct.
And was there any others?
Tyler and David. So that's all total for Tyler and David will be full-time. Jane is actually, she's under contract also as an instructor, so she'll be filling in as a lifeguard.
Okay, all right.
We had 3 people who were unable to go to the certification. Death in the family. One of the kids was at camp. There's somebody on vacation. So we'd like to still send them to the August certification. So they'll be returning for next
There's
year.
not one until August.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
It's in
That's in
Rollins.
Rollins again.
Is there a chance we could get them into Laramie earlier than that?
Possibly I could call. The convenience of the Rollins is that when they hire their, because they're Mary over there said that they do it in chunks for their lifeguards. So instead of like us was 3 days in a row, the convenience over there is they teach them like 1 chunk a day, 3 weeks. So they're training, and I could try to see how she feels about fitting our staff in, like she fits her staff in.
Okay,
Yeah, so I could call around.
I'm just trying to maybe slow down a delay if we have to wait till clear to August,
Yeah.
you know? That's why maybe at least reach out to Laramie and see what they say. That's the next closest town.
Yeah, I will. I'll look into that
Okay,
because they wanted to, and it was just so short notice that I
okay,
couldn't make it.
okay. Just a thought that, so we don't have a delay and get. Okay,
I think our biggest challenge really is that we've got the younger kids doing it. Those that are returning for the most part, and the younger lifeguards, they go back, they start doing their school activities July and August. So one of the benefits of having Tyler, David, to a certain extent, Jordan, and then Whisper got hers as well. And Jane will be here through the fall. It's with
Correct.
Tyler and David, they're older, so they'll probably be able to see us
You
at
know,
the end of the season.
but I was just going off what you said, the more the merrier on that, because if
Yeah.
somebody calls in sick. Somebody has a death in the family and they have to leave town, I would say. the More the merrier
Yeah. For sure.
on that.
So yeah, we'll get them in as soon as we can identify the next class. We'll try to get that organized. Let's see, slab repairs at Kathy Claude and Veterans Island. So for the tennis court / skate park, that's not a tennis court, skate park over there. It's been cleaned up recently. The not Kiwanis, it was really Cindy and Barb have been, and a few little helpers have been cleaning that area up really well for use. We're gonna paint it for use as pickleball. But I'd like to get a quote on that. So I talked to Nash about coming over and giving us quotes on both slab repair on that with some variations and options for cost and activity. So potentially grinding down and filling some of the cracks. I think the most economical is going to be to pour a 3-4 inch slab on top of it so that it's even across, but we'll look at the details once those come in. So both there and the basketball court at Cassie Claude. So I'm working on that. We talked at the commission meeting last night about a community cleanup, and so we'll get some details out. Originally, we wanted this to be a biannual thing, but time got away from us. So we're looking at doing this for the month of July. So we would do a Saratoga Adopt a Block or something like that. And we figured we could do a proof of concept and start downtown. So maybe focus on Bridge Street and downtown, all the walking areas where locals and visitors come across the river, around the riverbanks, any of those shared public spaces. So we'll get some details out here in the next couple of weeks where you can actually identify, not unlike what we've got posted up here, a place where you, your family, your organization, your school group, your church group, whoever you want to work together with, can adopt a specific area. And then when we have this event in the future, you'd be responsible for that area. So we'll get some details out via Facebook and some flyers up here in the next couple of weeks. and provide some more details at the next council meeting. The luau. We need to make a request to change the permit details. So we requested approval on that permit last council meeting for the 17th, and we need to change that, amend that to the 24th. Leads me to next conversation about that pool. That pool needs to get drained. We were told maybe next Monday, and we really need to get started on that tomorrow because we need to consider if we're working back from the 24th, and let's say that's our first day opening. You work back because you have to clean, fill, and then manage the chemicals. Last year it took 2 weeks to get the chemicals figured out because of water temperatures and other variables. Then we have to give the inspector 2 weeks notice to come out and inspect before we can open. So I would really like some assistance with the public works guys to help support Whisper in getting that rained and cleaned as soon as possible so that we can meet that 24th open day.
Okay, and what I do is I go on the recommendation of somebody that's been around for 44 years, and he says the pool will float if we drain it too early during high water. And I don't think we want to take a chance on that because we could possibly lose the pool. So that when John tells me he can safely extract the water, that's my feelings on it. I don't know how the rest of the council.
I don't think we want a chance
Well,
damaging.
right now it's a foot below the rim. So we could start pumping out. The drain doesn't work. So we have to start pumping the water out. So he did talk about doing it gradually, but we need to start it gradually, and it allows a certain level of pressure so that there's pressure underwater, pressure or underneath it and above. So to equalize that hydrolyzed pressure, we want to lower it slowly and then just be ready for when the water levels go down far enough, we can dump on it right away. So rather than wait a week, if we wait a week, we're pushing it another week to drain it, to get it open, to fill it. It's really about filling it. So I'm just concerned that we're coming up on 4th of July and the pool's not open. Because we really have to get that inspection done, and we really have to take that time to get the chemicals balanced just right. So
I personally don't want to be the one to chance having
No, and
a big screw up.
you can't do anything to it till it's emptied, whether you do it all at once or a little bit at a time. It's still the same time frame.
And how fast they can pump it out probably overnight or something, can't they?
you can pump it to lower levels and you have to spray everything down, the chemicals, and scrub it.
Right, but I
and
mean,
identify-
time wise to pump the full pool out, but
Potentially.
it's probably like an overnight deal.
Potentially, and then have several people on the crew too. I wasn't there during the cleaning last year, so.
I wouldn't want to take a chance on it floating away. I'd rather see the water down lower. Like you say, the time frame would be the same, whether it's all pumped out at one time when it is safe or a little bit at a time. You're still looking at the same thing, looks to me like.
Well, we can maybe just check in, Whisper. Lasco again, so we can see if it's possible. We get a few more
I'll
minutes.
talk with John tomorrow.
See how it comes down. Soccer, I've been getting a few calls here and there. Soccer requires registration and an MOU with the school. Previously, the town has had that agreement with the school so that they can use those fields. And that registration MOU covers the insurance and liability. And so there's a lot to this, but Sarah's recommendation was that we find parents who are willing to do it, although there's quite a bit of logistical details that we have to cover that I'm not familiar with. So I am reviewing this with a couple of parents. I do have the information on Sarah's computer, so I have the list of all the parents that were that participated last year with their kids. So we're working on it, but it really is going to have to be a parent-led thing. So I'll try to get an announcement out. Just if we've got volunteers to do it, that's great. But if we don't, it may have to just hold off till next year.
I know one thing to maybe consider that we ran into the T-ball is timeline on when to have practices and games. A bunch of the T-ball stuff, their practices are scheduled at 4:15, and that's super difficult for anybody to get there, let alone coach.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, and all of those types of things, Jacob, are gonna have to be on the parents to put the schedule together. Maybe it ends up just being, like you've got a list of folks that want to go play soccer. But in the past, we have to get those registrations. We have to have that agreement that with the town, between the town and the school for use of that area. So all of those types of things, when it happens, when you practice, and then your brackets and all the teams that are going to play, it's all going to be kind of parent led. It's usually late after, it's not late July. It's usually the week after 4th of July, because it accommodates for those kids that are playing baseball, right? If there's an overlap. And I've heard parents say it's super hot, and so this is really going to come down to parents who really want to do it. And we're happy to help facilitate conversations, but we're just not in a place where we can help logistically put it together. So we'll try to get updates out to folks as soon as we.
Well, I'd definitely say let's get some advertisement out there and let the parents know that they're gonna have to help dramatically with it and move forward with that on that. I don't think it's a program we definitely don't want to cut, because I think we have a lot of people interested in it, or it seemed like it on the field when you drove by.
Yeah, there's quite a few interested, and we had quite a few participants of various ages who just don't have the rec director this year. So I don't think it's going to die. I think maybe it just, we'll just have to see what kind of commitments we can get from parents.
Well, I want to change the date on your luau. We've gotta have an official motion on that.
Make the motion to change the luau date on that special events permit from the 17th to the 24th. No other details change.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah,
Could we make a motion for our folks to get increases? Whisper up from 16 to 17. And Jane, Tyler, and David from 10 to 11.
be my next list.
Thank you.
I'll have a motion. What?
Can I get a motion first to hire Tyler Greenberg and David Quinn? I don't have them as employees.
Okay.
Okay.
Whisper, do you know if those, we know the applications were turned in, right?
I just got Tyler
Which is
today. David, I don't have yet.
Okay,
In the fire departments.
yeah, can we get those over to them?
Yeah, it's just missing David's.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so
Do I have a motion to hire those individuals as lifeguards?
And make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now go to your raises.
do you have Jane's application as for a lifeguard, Marie, or just, okay, great. So then that would be Jane from $10 to $11. And Whisper from 16 to 17.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And that's all I have for rec department. That was a lot. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry, one more. Did you want to increase Tyler and David since they passed the certification?
Yeah, can we hire them at 11 since they have their certification in hand?
That's what we did with the other ones, right?
Right. Yeah.
So do we need to just?
probably better put that into a motion. To hire these other two at $11 an hour, because we just made a motion to hire them without a wage rate, so.
I'll make a motion to hire Tyler Greenberg and David Killian at $11 an hour as certified lifeguards.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Anything else with the rec department?
Not unless we have any questions.
Okay, we'll move on to Department of Public Works. I'm gonna skip over the first one for a moment. And this is a roll-up door, shop door over at the old water plant. It's in the amount of $2,287.62. I was told they've been trying for 2 to 3 years to get this door replaced. So I would have plenty of money in their budget. So if I could get a motion to approve this,
Is it in stock? I mean, they can get it installed summer.
they'll, this was what Totally Enterprise, what they told me. Now, I don't know if they're gonna install it or they're gonna come back and ask for somebody to install it.
I'll make a motion.
I have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Work order 2204B. This is this is from Keown Engineering. And it. And this is for all the work they've done out here. They were hired by Joint Powers Board to oversee the Spring Street project, which we just had the final walkthrough. They had one little thing to come back and fix. I don't know if they have. And then we'll be moving on to that. Notice of substantial completion has been posted. So, but this is for the amount of okay, the assumption that work order 2204 is was based on L&L's liquidated says based on the assumption we all assume that work order 2204A and work order 2204B will be the liquidated damages to Lewis and Lewis is responsible for covering. So this will be paid out of liquidated damages. Work order still don't have the price on B.
It's
Let's go for it. Total amount due to identification number 5 is 419,4441 minus
isn't it?
liquidated
Yes.
damages. Yeah.
Yes, okay. What I was looking for. You can go down to, yeah. Go down to the whole pay sheet on it. And so that is what the motion is, just to go ahead and pay. And this would be payment number 5 to Lewis and Lewis. So
419,4441 is minus the 94,000 and liquidated damages or including. I don't see a minus up here.
liquidated
419.
damages, we voted on that. I believe you abstained in the last meeting, because we ended liquidated damages, not continue to charge them liquidated
But
damages.
not to continue, but I mean, the way this is stated, amount due this application minus liquidated damages. So we stopped incurring, but they had to
This-
date 94,000.
This is what we have in liquidated.
Right, so this is the total they're requesting minus this, right?
No, that'll be decided on final payment, was my understanding.
So what if they're asking for 419, 44141, and we're holding on liquidated damages. It's just worded very strangely when it says minus LDs.
Basically, this was approved at the last meeting.
I thought this work order is for TO engineers to pay them $32,000 for the.
Well, so did I, but I can't find it.
Right here.
Well, and
Oh.
it's not,
This is strictly for TO engineering. No, this is a different. This will be into, and I'll go over that next. This is strictly for paying TO, and which will get reimbursed out of liquidated damages, or it'll come off their bill. When we do final payment. Okay, that's where we total up liquidated damages. We go through what the town had to pay to fix a water line for them. That'll be all done, completed in final payment.
so this is item 25 for work order for $32,000
Correct.
for TO for admin, construction admin.
Which is what their contract read to oversee this, that they signed with the joint power.
I'll make a motion to pay TO 32,000 for this work order.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Then, if you move on to the next item in there. It's the project pay estimate of $419,441.41. This is pay estimate number 5. That's where your 419.41 comes into play. Got it, and this is pay estimate 5. We will still probably have 2 pay estimates left on that. Which will be final payment. And to date, this is payment application history. To date, we paid them $1,486,678.94.
And they're at substantial completion or we're close to final completion at the next.
We're at
meeting.
substantial completion, which was posted in the paper as they told we had to. And that's been posted in the paper. And then they come back, they sent their engineer back over, which we'll get a bill for eventually. For final inspection, they had one little hiccup in which they have not come back and fixed, because when they do, they have to do a little cleaning on a business. So
Do they have any punch list items after substantial completion after the walk down?
they had one item after substantial completion, and I haven't seen the punch list from Josh. He's not sent it over. But the walkthrough was done. It was all approved between the joint powers board, and 2 city employees. All valves work, everything works. Now, under this too, we still running, even after final completion, we still have a year's worth of warranty. So this is payment number 5. Any other questions on it? Do I have a motion to pay Lewis and Lewis $419,441.41?
Make motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Now. We'll move into the change order that happened on this. And the change order come out to be $51,305.26. This will come due for payment when we do final payment. What it was, original contract price was $2,105,653. Prior to change order, it was the same thing, increasing the change order of $51,305.26. But the total cost of the project up to $2,156 or $2,156,958.26. This will Josh sent this over for us to vote on, that we accept this change order, and then the money will be dealt with at final payment. Because liquidated damages will be settled up, what we've paid to have our guys fix the water leak. So probably gonna be about a wash, so they'll still end up. We'll still have to negotiate out liquidated damages. And the project's done. This change order was already put in and basically approved by Joint Powers Board. Now it sets before us.
So this change order for 51,000. You said, do we have an amount or a value? No, a value for what we self-performed or that?
Yes, we do. And it's been presented to the Joint Powers Board, for final mitigation during final payment. And I don't have that paper in front of me. It's about $6,000.
Additional, no. I'm just looking at, I mean, like, he's got the details on that change order. So it's just in addition to the full contract value.
Yes.
It's other stuff that we asked them to do.
So original contract was 2,105 minus 94,250 for LDs. Total current contract price is 2,011,403. So this change order does not take into consideration what we did so perform. This is like just all of those details.
It did not.
Okay. So it adds for a total contract price of $2,156,958.26. Okay. We're making a motion
To accept this change order.
pay the change order.
Hmm?
I'll make a motion to pay the change order.
Are we paying it or accepting it?
Well, we're accepting it, which will be put into the contract, which will be negotiated. Yeah, basically, we would pay it, then we'd assess LDs and what it cost us to work on. And that'll be all under final payment. So basically, yeah, you're accepting payment of it.
Motion. Make a
Have a
motion.
second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion or any opposed? Okay, I'm curious. All right. The town has various people we have interviewed 2 different people for the DPW position. And there are 2 individuals that really have high qualities for this. It's kind of a tough decision to pick from. But everybody that I've talked to one-on-one with the council has chosen an individual out of Salmon, Idaho. And he's very interested in the position. It'll be a dual position. It'll be planning and zoning and DPW. Kind of how I broke it down would be like 20% planning and zoning, 80% DPW. You break down that further, 50% water and sewer, 40% street, and 10% weed and pest. And I'm not going to say his name right now because he asked me not to, because he wants to present it to people that are going to be leaving, but he has, if we can come up with the right dollar amount, he has graciously accepted this position, ready to move him and his family here. So the most I'll give you is he's from Salmon, Idaho. He started from the ground up. He knows our water system pretty much inside and out without, he doesn't know where the lines are, but he knows how to operate this system. When the first interview was conducted with two people from the town and also myself and Jerry Flutie. And then Mike and Kathy did the second interview with him. Everything's been reported to Jacob. So I guess what I'm looking at is a motion to hire this individual and send him an offer letter. And the dollar amount that's been discussed is $90,000 for a two-part position. If you break this down, and this is how I broke it down, 20% is planning and zoning. That means he would receive $18,000 a year out of planning and zoning. The other 80% would come out of DPW, which you break that down, 50%, 36,000 would come out of water and sewer, which is an enterprise fund, which generates revenue, which would help pay for his wage. 40% would come out of the street department, and 10% would come out of weed and pest, which is also an enterprise fund. And when he's doing weed and pest, we can use that money to pay his wage. So basically 50% for water and sewer would be 36,000, 40% for the street department would be 28,800, and 10% would be weed and pest of $7,200. How we justify the $90,000. It also pulls off one insurance packet in the amount of $34,000. So we'd only be paying one insurance packet along that lines. And that is what I was looking at. That was the dollar amount we discussed with him. And is there any discussion or questions?
I'll make a motion to make an offer for 90,000 for our applicant in Idaho.
Okay. And as soon as we get his offer letter back, I'll release his name. I just don't want to cause the guy in case he backs out at the last moment. So I don't believe he will. We'll give out his name. I'm just trying to protect him, and I would do it for anybody that hired on. And then any other discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor?
I need a second.
I'll second her motion.
I thought Jacob second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I will direct the clerk to send him an offer letter And we'll move forward from here and see where it goes. Any other question? Okay. That being the last in water and sewer, we'll move on to boards. Start with the Community Center Joint Powers Board.
I don't have anything to report for now. Our next meeting is June 12th or 30 at PBCC for next week.
Water and Sewer Joint Powers Board.
I also don't have anything to report as of now. I'll take that tap fee information for Valley Village to our meeting next week on the 14th at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Planning Commission.
Let's see, I don't have a ton to report. We did have a special public hearing meeting last week. We had one member resign. So did you have Marie put an ad for that one? That runs through 2025. So if anybody's looking for a shorter term on the planning commission. It's really exciting to hear about this potential DPW and planning member. And
He has quite a bit of experience in it. I can tell you that. I didn't know if we was gonna get him roped into doing that. It's a challenge for him. He'll have to get accustomed to all the new ordinances, so you guys gotta be nice to him in the beginning.
Well, it's very reassuring because I know that the planning commission has expressed repeatedly frustrations with lack of, I guess, uniformity with ordinances and interfacing. The community has been frustrated as far as someone to, it's someone's designated job, and that's no offense to you, Chuck. You have
I just want to add a little bit to that. Mike and I attended a meeting today over this, and you've got two attorneys sitting there and an engineer. And it was a tough to decide how they wanted to proceed. Nobody could make up their mind. Everybody had a different opinion. So, in a planning and zoning officer's defense, I don't think he could have done this. I don't know how he would have done it. Because everybody kept bringing up prior information. It was very difficult, and it's gonna end up doing what we should have done at the very first meeting when we had Kylie's.
Well, now we know that we can move forward without
We
any.
do know this. And let me tell you, the discussion, it was intense. We even had their attorney on the phone, and
But it will be nice to have someone where it's their job to follow a project through from beginning to end, make sure legal ads are getting posted, making sure the county clerk's office getting checked in, that it's their job.
Something, once we get the budget done, then I'm gonna ask council to change. A couple of things along that, and we're gonna throw the advertising back to the person that's asking for the subdivision, that's asking for the zone change. Simply because, then they can explain to everybody when there's a misprint in a paper or the amount it costs to do this. And I don't think the town should burden that cost. We're doing them a favor by doing this. And but that's neither here nor there. That's an ordinance change that I'm gonna throw back at the council to look at. But
We do have additional special public hearing on June 20th at 5 p.m. So that'll be before your guys' next town council meeting, and that will be in reference to this subdivision that has been ongoing.
the attorney will be present at that.
Okay. And then Did we receive the YDOT amended contract?
Today,
Got it today, awesome. And so then we just sign it and send it back. I'm just curious what the timeline is then before we can. We sign it, send it back, and then they send us a letter of go ahead. Is that the next steps?
I'm not sure. We have to talk to them.
Okay. But did we get it signed or we haven't done
We
it yet?
just got it.
Okay.
Just opened it up.
But that should be a pretty quick thing, right? We don't have to have the lawyer review it or anything.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Hold on.
So hopefully within the next week, the amendment to our contract with YDOT will be finalized so that we can then officially go under contract with will be consulting and start to move forward on
And another one that hasn't been easy.
planning stuff.
Geez.
And there was a hiccup because of, it was updates to federal law that needed to get incorporated into the YDOT contract. So this was I think a one-time thing. But so we are excited to get that project started, hopefully in next month. And then on our next meeting, we're hoping to dive into some of the short-term rental discussions. So I invite anybody from the public who's interested in that. We really want to, before we start looking at permitting process, we kind of want to lay down what our goals are that for the community, what we do want to achieve by a permit process. And so we would love lots of community input and engagement on that and for both sides. So that's all that's happening. Oh, did we have a letter of interest for Mike?
We have not been able to get a hold of that individual, so until we can reach out and talk to him. The only reason that we appointed Joe the last time is he had been in the office. He definitely was interested. So he wasn't present at the council meeting and I went and appointed him, but Mr. Baker, we want to reach out to him one more time and unable to make contact
Okay, so currently we have 2 open positions.
currently, but we do have a letter of intent.
And with 1 letter of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, McCall. Recreation Commission,
When we ran through the rec department, we discussed all of that at the rec commission. So it's pretty consistent with what I did for our rec department. However, we do need to change the date here. So we're changing the date on rec commission, Marie, from July 3rd to July 10th. So could we can amend, I don't know that we need to amend the agenda, but if we just make a note now that we're doing that and post a sign here and I'll put it on Facebook as well.
I don't think we need to go to the paper with that. We'll just post it.
So next rec commission meeting is July 10th at 6 o'clock here.
Okay. I have nothing to report from the airport. The next meeting is June 12th, 2023 at 3:30 here at the town hall. Okay, Marie, with Schwim.
No new updates. The next meeting is June 19th at 6 p.m. in Medicine Bow Fire Station.
Can I ask you to take back to the board? We will mow the area around the building up there if they'll clean up some of the, there's a mound of dirt and stuff like that. If we can get that cleaned up so we can mow it and kind of spruce it up a little bit. If you would, please.
I did mention it to them and they did say that they were going to work on it.
All right, thank you. Okay, any new business to be brought before the town? Is there any further business to be brought? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.